So let's talk about budgets inside of ProLine. So there are actually two different budgets inside of ProLine. There's the final budget, which is what you're looking at here. And then we also have a planning budget. The planning budget or budget planner exists inside of each quote in your ProLine account. So when you're quoting a project, you can go to the budget planner and you can look at, okay, depending on what options a customer might select, what upgrades, and if you are doing multi-structure, are they going to do the garage? They're not going to do the garage. You can look at every possible scenario and then look at how that plays out from a budgeting standpoint. What's that final price going to be? What is commissions going to end up being? What's the gross margin here? So what's the actual gross margin and gross profit at the end of the day if they go with that option? And so you can play out every possible scenario you can imagine here within the budget planner to ensure that you are profitable on this job before you send it, regardless of what a customer might actually end up going with when they sign their quote. And so you have this budget planner is extraordinarily powerful at making sure that you stay profitable on every job. Now, once a quote gets signed, ProLine automatically fills out the final budget for you. So everything you're seeing here has actually been automatically built out for me by ProLine when this quote was signed. And so that just saves a ton of time. But then now I can go back and I can look at, okay, what was my actual material cost? What was my actual invoice from my supplier for the materials? Did it match up perfectly with what I had from my price list? And if so, great. But if not, I can then go and edit these to make sure that this budget is completely accurate. So, but even if you don't take that step, we recommend that you do before you close out every job, go back and check all the numbers. But even if you don't, ProLine's still going to get you pretty close by automatically calculating everything out from your price list based on the quote and then inputting these here. Then we can see here based on these cost line items, and we can manually add if we have to go to Lowe's halfway through the job or whatever. We can then go back and add manually any additional costs that we might run into. And so we have that there as well. Now, once we have our cost line items all squared away, then we have this project analysis, which is now accurate. We can see the total revenue that was pulled in, and that's going to come from the payments here on the billing tab. And then we have our costs, and if we click that out, we can see a breakdown by each type. So down here, there can be any number of materials, permits, down here in the cost line items, but we're going to sum them up here for you so you can see exactly what your overall labor cost was, exactly what your overall permits were. And you can also see, what is the variability of that based on what you originally estimated when you were making your quote. So how does this differ basically from the budget planner, what was on the budget planner? And so you can see that there as well. Then you have commissions. So if you have your commissions all set up properly, then this should be the final commission amount that is owed to the salesperson on the job. If you need to change that, change who the commission is assigned to, change the type of commission, you can change that. And then, of course, if you have service taxes for your area, you can add or remove those here as well. But ProLine's going to calculate that out for you here. So service tax being, and of course, this is not applicable to all areas of all cities or states. But if your area requires that you apply a tax to the overall job, so if you're charging them $1,000, maybe a 10% tax, then that is the service tax. Now, ProLine also has vendor taxes, which I don't want to go down a rabbit hole with vendor taxes, but we also manage the vendor taxes for you as well. So that's the sales tax that your supplier or other vendors might charge to you. So we track that separately, so that's different than service tax. But the service tax is here. The vendor tax would already be baked into the cost line items. So the invoice that you're getting from your supplier would match up with this because both of them are taking into account sales tax. Then, of course, we have our gross profit here and then gross margin. So we can see what did we actually end up making on this job. And so that's budgets in ProLine. This is going to help you to really keep track of your profitability on every job and just make sure you're making money.